Hi, seventh graders. Today we are going to be doing a lesson in Savvas. However, we're not going to use our workbooks. I will hand this out to you in class. What I did is I just took a couple problems from the workbook, a couple of story problems, and then a few um, just numerical expressions that we are going to work on solving. So last week we did a review on Friday on how to multiply rational numbers, specifically decimals. And then today we are going to practice multiplying rational numbers. So we will still have decimals and fractions that we're going to have to multiply, but we're going to add in some negatives. So you'll need this sheet, and then you might want a multiplication table if you don't know all your multiplication facts, and then you might want a calculator. Okay, I'm gonna flip over my computer so I can draw on it, and hopefully I can make this work. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so on our notes sheet, first of all, I would like you to write this. Okay, so last week we talked about when we are multiplying and the two numbers have the same signs, we will always get a positive product. So we just multiply the two numbers and our answer will be positive. So if they're both negative or they're both positive, you just multiply the two numbers and it'll be a positive answer. And then if they have different signs, so you should be writing this down on the sheet, we get a negative product. So meaning one of the numbers is positive, one of them is negative. You multiply the two numbers and then you'll get a negative answer. Okay, so we're just going to try to solve this first problem. So it says two hikers descend. Descend means to go down from the summit of a mountain. So they're climbing down the mountain. What is Petra's change in elevation? Okay, well, we see that Ben is negative 1.2 meters change in elevation. So that means he went down 1.2 meters. And then what it says about Petra is Petra's change in elevation is 3.5 times as great as Ben's change. So we have to take Ben's change and hers is 3.5 times bigger. Okay, so Ben's is negative 1.2, so that should be the first thing you write down. And then Petra's is 3.5 times that, so we just multiply by 3.5. Okay, so we're not going to use our calculators. We did this review in class. To multiply, we do 3.5 times 1.2 like this. You don't necessarily have to line up the numbers or the decimals. You just ignore the decimals until the very end. So we're going to do 2 times 5, that would be 10, carry your 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. And then we have to take 1 and multiply by 5 and 3. But when we start a new row, we start with 0. 1 times 5 is 5, and 1 times 3 is 3. Then we take those two rows and we add down. So 0 plus 0 is 0. Oops, sorry about that. 7 plus 5 is 12. Carry your 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. And then we have two numbers after the decimal. So we count 1, 2, 2 over. So our answer is 4.20 or 4.2. But because they have different signs, what you'll notice here, they have different signs. So my answer is going to be negative 4.2. And then it would be meters. So her change in elevation was 4.2 meters, meaning she went negative 4.2 meters, meaning she climbed down 4.2 meters. Okay, let's do another one. It says, Megan's bank account is charged $9.95 per month for an online newspaper subscription. So that's money that she has to pay. That's money that leaves her bank account every month, $9.95 for this newspaper subscription. It says, how could you represent the change in her account balance after 3 months of charges? So how much would she pay essentially after 3 months? Okay, well, first of all, we have to write a math problem. So the first number is $9.95, but it should be negative because it's money that's leaving her bank account. And then she gets charged $9.95 every single month for 3 months. So we're going to multiply by 3. Okay, and then to do that by hand, we're going to do 9.95 times 3, like this. Remember, we always want to put the number with the smaller digits, or the least amount of digits on the bottom, because that is less work for you. We're going to do 3 times 5, that's 15, carry your 1. 3 times 9 is 27, plus 1 more is 28, carry your 2. 3 times 9 is 27, plus 2 is 29. And then there's 2 numbers after the decimal, so we count over, oopsies, sorry about that. We count over 2, so it's going to be 29.85. But then because we have different signs, it's going to be negative $29.85. Okay, let's go on to the next one. So we just have these 6 problems that we're going to practice. Okay, so negative 5.3 times negative 2.6. To do that, we line it up. So 5.3 times 2.6. And then we ignore the decimals until the end. So 6 times 3 is 18, carry your 1. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 1 more is 31. We're going to start with the 2's. We start with a 0. 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 times 5 is 10. And then we add down our rows. So 8, 1 plus 6 is 7, 3 plus 0 is 3, nothing plus 1 is 1. We have 2 numbers after the decimal. So our answer is going to be 1378. And then if you'll notice, they have the same signs. So my answer is positive 13.78. Okay, let's do another one. So we have negative 3/5 times 4 1/5. So I think probably the easiest thing is to change it into a decimal if you would like. So let's change that into a decimal. So 3 divided by 5 is that. Whoa. I'm sorry about that. 3 divided by 5, that'd be negative 0.6 times, it's going to be 4 and then we have to do 1 divided by 5 on our calculators. It'd be 4.2. And then once you have that, we can multiply. Whoa. Sorry. Not very good at this. Okay, we're going to do 4.2 times 0.6. Sorry, my hand's going crazy here. 0.6. Okay. 6 times 2 is 12. Carry your 1. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 1 more is 25. And then if we're going to multiply by 0, it's not going to change anything. So we have 2 numbers after our decimal. So we put the decimal right there. And then because they have different signs, it's going to be negative 2.52. Okay, let's go to the next problem. So we have 0.2 times negative 1.78. So when we are multiplying decimals, I would put 1.78 at the top because that has more digits, times 0.2. Then we're going to multiply everything by that 2. So 2 times 8 is 16. Carry your 1. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 more is 15. Carry your 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 more is 3. And then if we multiply everything by 0, it's going to just be zeros on the bottom. We have 1, 2, 3 numbers after the decimal. So 1, 2, 3. My decimal is going to go there. So it's actually 0.356. And then if you'll notice, they have different signs. So my answer is going to be negative 0.356. Okay, let's do another one. So we have negative 2.5 times negative 7/10. Well, the first thing I should do is change that 7/10 into a decimal. And we do that by dividing. So you can do 7 divided by 10 on your calculator, and you'd get this. Negative 2.5 times negative 0.7. And then when you have that, when you have 2 decimals, then we know how to multiply by hand. So we're going to do 2.5 over here times 0.7. And we're going to multiply everything by 7 first. So 7 times 5 is 35. Carry the 3. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 3 more is 17. If I multiply 0 and 5 by that 0, I'm just going to have zeros at the bottom. So I'm going to be stuck with the same numbers. We have 2 numbers after the decimal, so my decimal goes here. And then they have the same signs, so my answer is going to be positive 1.75. Okay, 2 more problems. 4.25 times 9.2. So I have 2 decimals to work with. So 4.25, put that. Whoa. Sorry, guys. I got a new computer this year, and I'm not really used to this touch screen that I got. Okay, so 4.25 times 9.2. I would put 4.25 at the top because it just makes less work for you if you put the number that has the most digits at the top. So we're going to multiply everything by 2 first. So 2 times 5 is 10. Carry your 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 more is 5. 2 times 4 is 8. And then we're going to multiply everything by 9, but before we do that, we start with a 0. 9 times 5 is 45. Carry your 4. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 4 more is 22, so 2, carry your 2. 9 times 4 is 36, plus 2 more is 38. Make sure your numbers are lined up, and then we add down. 0 plus 0 is 0. 5 plus 5 is 10, carry your 1. 8 plus 2 is 10, plus 1 more is 11, carry your 1. 1 plus 8 is 9, and then nothing plus 3 is 3. And then we count 1, 2, 3 numbers after the decimal. So 1, 2, 3, my decimal is going to go right there. So it's going to be 39.1. And then it's going to be positive because they have the same signs. These are both positive numbers. And the last one we have today, we have negative 12.1 times negative 3.8. So we're going to start out with 12.1 on the top because it has the most digits. We want to make it as easy as possible for us. Times 3.8. We multiply everything by 8 first. So 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Carry your 1. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. And then we're going to multiply everything by 3. We start with a 0. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. And 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, and then we're going to add down on those 2 rows. 8 plus 0 is 8. 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 plus 6 is 15. Carry your 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. We have 2 numbers after the decimal, so we count over 2. My decimal will go there. And then what you'll notice is they have the same sign, so my answer is 45.98, and it's going to be positive. That is all I have for you for notes today. So remember, decimals are your best friend. If you have fractions, honestly, I would change them into decimals, and then you're using this paper pencil, like the standard algorithm for multiplying decimals. So you multiply the decimals first, and then you look for if they have same or different signs to figure out if your answers are positive or negative. Today, yeah, you can check Canvas for what you have for homework, but we will do Savvas homework 1-7, A or B, in class tomorrow. So that's all I have for you today.